Welcome to Project Read's annual general report for the year 2021-22. Our fiscal year runs from April 1st to March 31st. First off, a thank you to our funders and supporters and sponsors. We have two new sponsors this year that helped support our family literacy training and certification program, and that was EJ Tax Service and MicroAge. Thank you to our core program and project staff. We're so lucky to have such great staff. Their enthusiasm for their work never wanes. While the faces and names may change as we grow, they are the main ingredient and the recipe of this organization. If the staff is the main ingredient of the recipe for Project Read, the board is the creator of that recipe. These dedicated individuals provide guidance and strategic direction and are the first people to pitch in and help out when it comes to fundraising events or requests from staff. It's not easy being a volunteer director. It's a job that you don't get paid for, and yet you put a great deal of effort and caring towards. These are the people that are the leaders and visionaries and help Project Read continue to be successful and grow. Our results show that our programs are having an impact for adults and families in our community, but we couldn't do it without the partnerships that we have out in the community. And these are just some of the partners that we work with on a regular basis. In 2021, we planned and organized everything we physically had and figured out what we needed to keep in order to continue Project Read's work. In December, we packed up everything and we moved to Beverly Hills. No, we actually just needed what we kept because we needed it, and we moved our tools and resources into our new storage unit. All staff now works remotely with access to everything we need when we need it. And so far, it's working pretty good. These trainings were offered based on requests from partners in the community. We provide professional development to a variety of practitioners, from literacy programs to our employment service agency members to various different groups. They were extremely well received, and participants indicated it was beneficial to the work. Through these opportunities, we actually provided training to over 100 practitioners in Waterloo region. So as compared to last year, how many educational assessments did we do this year? We hit 85 assessments, and that's an increase from 69 learners in the previous year, which was the first year of the pandemic. It shows that we actually figured a way to move forward, and Christine took that on and made it work for us. The region of Waterloo offices are still not allowing community partners back into their spaces to provide face-to-face assessments. So what did we do? We had a partnership that we built up with Agilic in Kitchener, and we have been providing in-person assessments at their Kitchener location 1 day per week since January 2022. So we provide literacy service planning and supports and coordination throughout Waterloo-Wellington. And it's important to know, who do we serve? We actually have served in Waterloo-Wellington 1,665 learners in 21-22. So we may only make up about 4% of all learners served throughout Ontario, but the GTA takes up the majority of the population and the learners in LBS programming as well. The majority of our learners either have no source of income or are on social assistance. 44% of them would fall into that category. Our programs do a fantastic job in helping learners see progression with our completions of at least one milestone, which is how you measure if somebody has achieved a skill, at 84%. This is significantly higher than the Western region, who is at 77%, and the province at 76%. Most of our learners are on the employment path, either directly or through further education and training. That's where I explained that always people going into employment they just don't go into further education and training in these capacities to just learn. They're learning for a specific job that they're hoping to get in the end. Only 5.2% of our learners are on the independence goal path. So learners who are newcomers or visible minorities, many people assume that the majority of people within adult literacy programs are immigrants. But as can be seen with this, they make up just a little more than a fifth of our learners in Waterloo-Wellington. In Ontario, it's a bit higher, but it's still less than 30%. The majority of our learners are under the age of 30. Close to half our learners, which is obviously higher than the West and Ontario, are in that category. This can indicate both good and bad news, right? The bad news being our education system isn't working for a number of their students, but at least these students are recognizing they need more supports and skills development earlier in life. So level of education. Most of our learners don't have a grade 12 diploma. Less than a 0.5% less do have a high school diploma, as you can see. The difference between 31.41% under less than grade 12 and the difference between that and the high school diploma of 30.93%. Once we can get more data again from EQAO on grade 10 literacy and grade 9 numeracy results, we'll know more. And those were just released this month, so in November. So we'll be able to figure out a little bit more about why that might be. The worry is that COVID has made the situation even worse for youth in the funded school system. Almost 1/4 of our learners do have some post-secondary education, but it is concerning to see that the province as a whole has almost 40% of their learners in this category. Because you would hope that most people that have some post-secondary education have a certain degree of skill. The numbers don't always add up to 100% if you're starting to add that way, as learners must self-disclose all information that they give to their programs. And as can be seen in Waterloo-Wellington, almost 14% didn't even share in this category at all. So attachment to the workforce. Waterloo-Wellington sees more employed learners within their LBS programs as compared to the West and Province, as you can see from that first set of 3. It is still less than 50% of the learners, but we must remember that labor market information shows that Waterloo-Wellington has historically lower unemployment rates. WELF is consistently listed as one of the lowest rates in the country. So if we look at even the employed full-time, we are much higher than that. So it's back and forth between this. So many learners are working and learning. This helps to dispel that myth that it's just people that didn't apply themselves in school. These are folks that are actually out there doing jobs, and yet they still are trying to upgrade their skills, realizing they don't have enough to maintain that job or perhaps move forward in it. And finally, I want to talk about referrals into LBS programs and just touch in on this a bit. The majority of our referrals happen through a formalized process that was developed with Employment Services and Ontario Works and ourselves throughout Waterloo-Wellington. Even with that happening, we also have more other referrals into our programs from Employment Services and Ontario Works than the province. As you can see, the blue category, we are higher in those. I wanted to share the ODSP numbers because they can be a referral or the lack of those referrals, because unfortunately in this system, a caseworker can have hundreds of individuals on their caseloads. So individualized referrals are almost impossible to make. It's a real missed opportunity by the government to not just write off individuals on ODSP. They have disabilities, but they also have abilities. We continue to add more features to our new Project Read website. This year, we added a community program calendar, which helps people connect to our programs and events, as well as services offered by our Regional Directory Association partners. Our partners are able to add their public events and workshop events directly to this calendar for the public to access all in one place. Our annual directory of programs is also available to view and download from our website. Thanks to the social impact grant funding provided by the Lilas Holman Foundation, we were able to support family literacy programming at Project Read through development and implementation of marketing and sponsorship strategies to engage businesses, delivery of our family literacy training and certification programs online, and delivery of our family literacy peer program. Let's talk about the peer program a little bit more. Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to talk about the family literacy training and certification a little bit more. I had my pages mixed up. We have trained and certified 15 individuals in family literacy from across Canada. This is extremely important to Project Read, to Ontario, and the nation. We know that the childcare and the early years sector have seen higher demand since the pandemic began, and there's a shortage of qualified individuals in this workforce, and this allows to give them further training in this area. And our family literacy peer program, we extended our literacy support to families in Get Set Learn and out in the community by offering this peer program again. In addition to their own skills gains, including increased confidence, grit, and better work habits and time management, the peers completed 28 community engagements. This piece of our peer program was difficult because they were reaching out to others who were unaware of what early literacy means and during a pandemic. They worked hard to come up with creative and fun ways to introduce this to families. 40 parents and 117 children participated in our family literacy community engagement with the peers. So let's talk about our online Get Set Learn program. We had to continue that through the pandemic, and we received great feedback from families on how helpful this program was to engage in literacy-based activities and to get information on community resources. The Get Set Learn Family Literacy Peer Program was a huge help in supporting the individual needs of the families during and after the pandemic. As part of the Early Learning and Literacy Alliance project, we were able to also offer 2 extra Get Set Learn programs. So that's the community partnerships that can help us in those ways as well. Parents are the drivers of what takes place in the home. Changes in parents' skills and attitudes affects both parent and child success in school, life, and work. Family literacy works. Thanks to funding received from the federal government for summer students, Project Read was able to develop and offer the literacy bike programs throughout July and August of 2021. We designed the bike and the activities to be hosted at parks in Kitchener to reach families and engage them safely in literacy learning using the outdoor spaces available in the community. This program was very successful, with the average of 50 people per event, with many returning families. So let's talk about the fundraising committee. We only received ministry funding of $95,700 to run our organization. This includes salaries, insurance, travel supplies, all the core administrative costs. It's obviously not going to cover all of those costs, so we need to fundraise, and here are the members of our fundraising committee. The fundraising committee did an amazing job during the last fiscal year, the second year of the pandemic, and helped to bring in about $12,000, and that doesn't even include donations. One of the biggest events was the Reading Rumble. We hosted our second online Reading Rumble book trivia event in March 2022. It's a fun event where teams sign up to read 2 selected books and then compete in an online trivia tournament, all while collecting pledges to be the top fundraising team and top trivia team. Great prizes, a trophy, and bragging rights go to the winners. This year, we raised an incredible $9,635. Thanks to our fundraising committee for making the event a great success, and we're already looking forward to next year's event. I also wanted to point out that this is the most money that Project Read has ever made for one fundraiser in its history. So that's a pretty impressive thing to have done. So here's the Reading Rumble for that year, for 2022. We had a sponsor from Hickory Dickory Decks, and we also had a number of prize donors, which we want to give our thanks to as well. And we want to say thank you to everyone for participating in our annual general meeting. Hopefully you'll get a kick out of our Christmas party, staff party, where some of us overdid our decorations, apparently, Jane. And we had a lot of fun, but we want to say thank you to everyone. And we're looking forward to reporting what happens in this year.